abandoned places can be straight up creepy. Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily and today we're counting down our list of the top 10 disturbing things discovered in abandoned hotel rooms. Coming in at number 10 is birthday cards. Now, a user posted a story in 2009 saying the building was in pretty bad state and looked as if no one had visited it for decades. It looked just as bad on the inside as it did on the outside, and there was one specific room that had a huge pile of mail. Then he went to another room that contained toys for kids. Now, what creeped him out was the fact that these toys did not look old. In fact, they looked very much new, but there was no sign of human life there. Now, still not creeped out enough for some reason, this person went up to another floor where he checked out another room. This room was filled with tons of birthday cards, and they were all for one specific person named Eric. He then stepped out of the room, contemplating whether or not to check the rest of the place out, and that is when he heard very weird noises that normal human beings cannot make, coming from the other room. He said at this point he froze in one place, unsure of what to do, and then suddenly two dirty hands appeared at the entrance of that room. Now, this was the user's cue to run, so he did. He ran as fast as he could and got out of that place, and he never went back to this abandoned place ever again, and personally, I wouldn't either. Number 9. A body. On Friday, October 7th, 2022, 4 students were exploring the abandoned Days Inn Hotel in Danville, Pennsylvania. Now, the building had been left abandoned for nearly a decade and had been a site of vandalism and frequent squatting. A video of the inside of the hotel was posted to YouTube in 2018 and has since had nearly 50,000 views. Inside, the 4 of them stumbled upon the body of a middle-aged man. The group entered a large scenery room and that's where they found it. I was recording and I saw it on the ground and I was like, what is that? Then nobody reacted, so I was like, it's probably one of those Halloween dummies since it's October, said one of the students who initially discovered the body. He then stated it felt like a movie. The victim was laid out in the open, the body was missing a shirt, it had a black eye, and they described the body as having a pained expression on his face. Now, from what they could tell, the body hadn't been there long, citing no smell or signs or decay. Now, once the friend realized the body wasn't fake, the 4 of them took off. They then notified the police of what they found and they were questioned for 2 hours. Now, the body belonged to George W. Sholey III, a 47-year-old man from Berwick. Shortly after, a GoFundMe was started by the daughter of George and his wife Christy. As stated in a public release report by the state police, nothing concerning the death is considered suspicious. The death has been labeled accidental, foul play is not considered at this time, and there is no threat to the community. Now, I truly cannot imagine accidentally stumbling upon that and not completely freaking out. Number 8. Perfect rooms. A woman went viral on TikTok in 2022 after exploring a completely abandoned hotel in Bali. Graphic designer Polina found the hotel while working remotely in the Indonesian holiday destination. Now, in a series of TikToks that have racked up almost 30 million views in total, Polina and her partner explored the empty resort with 266 rooms left in near perfect condition. Now, the video begins with a before and after shot showing just how eerie the site is. Polina has not been able to find any history on the hotel, but believes it was suddenly abandoned around 2020, and no one seems to know why. She said the last reviews of the hotel guests were written in 2020, so I guess it became abandoned throughout that year. Now, the place was completely open, there were no signs of closure, no fence, or anything like that. If anything, in the beginning, we thought it was a functional hotel, as we noticed 2 helmets placed on the ground by reception, so we thought someone is still in the hotel, she said. Now, the footage shows different areas of the venue, including the entrance, which has been taken over by nature, as well as various rooms, dining spaces, and trinkets that Polina discovered. Now, some rooms are still made up for guests who will never arrive, with furniture, towels, leaflets, and toilet paper in place. Later, Polina and her partner even found plates with half-eaten food on a table, as well as documents in the staff room. She said, the moment we entered the reception, we still couldn't understand where everyone was and that this was an abandoned place. It felt like everyone was here a few few hours ago and just left somewhere. Now that is truly haunting. Number 7. News team. This online user said, I was looking in some old motel, little rooms on a rural Southern California highway. I was working as a photographer for TV news. We were doing stand-ups and the reporter was trying to think of what to say and I went exploring. I was going towards the center of the building on the back row of the motel when my reporter said he was ready. So I shot the stand-up and we left. 2 days later we got a call from the sheriff's office asking what we were doing there. We told him and it turns out there was a dead man hanging from some vines tied to the ceiling of the room. He had been beaten and hanged. I was a few feet from finding this dead person. The motel is nearly rotted into the ground today, and I think the word pine was in the name of the motel. Now that would have been terrifying to find, and maybe it's a good thing that they didn't stumble upon it. Number 6. The bin. This user said, what we found still sort of haunts me. We came to a place where there was a garage door that was slightly raised. Me and one of my friends managed to lift it just enough for us to crawl under it. Beyond the door was a medium-sized room with a sort of bin at the far end. The bin was like a cage made out of chicken wire and a rickety wooden chicken wire door with a padlock on it. On the floor of the cage was a dirty and stained mattress and a dirty bucket. Now what really freaked us out was that there was a single metal folding chair, like the kind wrestlers hit each other with, right in front of the cage, and one of those giant industrial lamps next to it pointed at the cage. That's when we realized that the light was plugged in and actually shining brightly into the cage. Now this was an abandoned building, yet somehow there was power to this lamp. My friend Jason saw something and abruptly told us that we had to get out of there and was freaking the hell out. Now all of us were unnerved, so we didn't argue. We got out and ran at least 3 blocks at top speed, and when we finally stopped, one of my friends asked Jason why he told us to take off. Dude, there was a lit cigarette in the ashtray on the floor next to that chair, he said. Yeah, that sounds terrifying, and I'm glad they got out of there quickly. Number 5. Groups of people. This online user said, me and my boyfriend go to this abandoned building a lot. It's 5 stories high plus a roof. We were just chilling in this room on the 5th floor when we heard glass shattering and people talking. Now they didn't sound nice or friendly at all. My boyfriend wanted to check it out, but I told him we should wait until we knew where they were. A few minutes later we heard footsteps above us, so they were on the roof. Guys, probably junkies, were peeing from the top and were walking around a lot. Now the staircase to the roof is shaky and unstable, so we knew we could easily escape before they were all down. So my boyfriend led the way and made sure I didn't panic. We were walking very quietly, we were almost at the main staircase to go down when we noticed more people in the room next to the damn stairs. I saw them, they saw me, I just said we should run. He put me in front of him and I made sure I ran and left the building first. On our way down we heard a lot of yelling, glass shattering, and furniture being thrown. I have no idea if they did or didn't chase us. I was focusing on running away and dodging a lot of glass and broken doors and windows. We ran and left the building and we didn't even look behind us, just hopped on the bike and raced home. I'm not that strong, so I don't know what would have happened if we stayed in the building. Number 4. Mysterious liquid. This Reddit user said, before they tore it down we used to frequent this place that was so interesting to explore. One night we ventured out at like 3 a.m., climbed the stairs to the top floor of the building, and when we opened the door to enter the floor, I slipped on something and almost fell face first. When we pointed our flashlights at the ground to see what it was, there was a big pool of what looked like fresh blood. We booked it the hell out of there, and yeah, I would too. Number 3. Surprise visitor. This Reddit user said they were in an abandoned building and said, as a test of bravery, we kicked in the back entrance and entered through what we assumed was a cooking area. It had all the markings of a crack den, but with a mix of old looking desks and podiums. There were rusted iron devices that looked torturous, but were probably just cooking tools we didn't understand. As we ventured deeper into a hallway area, we heard awful noises and heavy breathing. It was absolutely terrifying. We peek into a room and see a corpse of a man open his eyes wide with anger. He slowly stood up and then charged at my group of 5 friends, screaming and cursing. Turns out he was one of the new residents. Half a dozen people on a illegal substances. He only slowed his charge when our flashlights hit his face, or more likely because the large clank of my friend's baseball bat hitting against the hallway wall, and half the group immediately fled. The other half was apparently intimidating enough with their flight instincts triggered to prevent a direct attack. He was still pacing back and forth while muttering, and we escaped back out the way we came in as we heard others in the back corner start to come. Absolutely terrifying. One girl peed herself, and the guy who drove had his hands shaking so hard we had to pull over and nominate a new driver. Number 2. Trashed place. This user said it was full of trash, roaches, and rat droppings. The toilets were disgusting and the tubs full of black water. There were so many empty liquor bottles that I thought perhaps people were just using it as a place to drink. I spent 45 minutes inside taking pictures and looking around. Then I opened the last door and found a somewhat clean room with a window air conditioner running. Someone was actually living in this place. Now I could not get out quick enough, my legs were almost jello. By the time I made it to my car, I was in full-blown panic at the thought this person could come home at any moment and that I could die and be dumped down the well in the backyard or go to jail for trespassing. I still drive by the place somewhat regularly and I've seen the owner. Still can't imagine how anyone could live like that. And coming in at number 1 is Satanic Ritual. This user said we went through the building and nothing seemed all that out of the ordinary. We were about to leave when we spotted a closed door off the kitchen. We opened it, it was a stairway going down. We went down with flashlights and it leads to a space I would call more of a root cellar than a basement. The floor was dirt, the walls were made of piled stones. But here's the part that made my skin crawl. Every inch of every surface down there had been painted with ritualistic satanic graffiti. It became immediately apparent that some seriously bad stuff had gone down there. We looked around for 5 to 10 seconds and ran out of that place. This was many years ago and I still get chills thinking about it, and that sounds absolutely creepy. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 disturbing things discovered in abandoned hotel rooms. Which one do you think is the scariest? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.